All right, Bobby, you're our intro guy.
Every day is a national day. Welcome to Today Is, a podcast about what today is. I'm Bobby Barker,
And I'm Joey Nickel.
and welcome to our podcast, Today Is. That felt weird.
It felt weird, but I don't know that anybody cares about
No,
us.
no. Eventually, it's gonna feel normal, and we'll just go right into it without talking about how weird it feels.
Right, exactly. One of these days we'll just get it down, and then we won't have to worry about it.
Yeah.
But today we have a special guest with us. This is my son, Daniel.
Daniel's right there.
Who's very scary because I guess he scared off your son.
Yes. We're doing this at my house this time. My new front room. We're kind of getting this ready to look cool, I guess. And my son was like, "Hey, do you think I could be on the podcast today?" I'm like, "Yeah, Blake, you can." He's like, "Oh, well, all right." And he heard what today was, and he's like, I think I could do that." And then you and Daniel showed up, and I guess my son was intimidated and ran away. But his friend came over to play, so it
Yeah,
kind of
that's
makes
true.
sense.
Well, he could have been on the podcast with Daniel.
Yeah,
Daniel could be on the podcast. Actually, Daniel's mostly here because he's going to go to my trivia show with me after this,
Yeah.
and he wants chicken tenders.
Oh, that's a strong reason.
Yeah.
I really.
I also
want to
get out of cleaning with my mom.
Yeah, he didn't want to do Laundry Palooza today.
Oh, two strong reasons. We've got Laundry Palooza coming up this evening. I was told we had to get a new dryer.
Oh, that's right. You had a new dryer. What happened there?
So our dryer has been having issues for like 2 years, and on Christmas Eve, it stopped working. It just refused to work anymore.
That's
luckily-
the day. That's the day to get to stop working. The ghost of Christmas Eve to stop your dryer from working.
Yeah. Luckily, very luckily, I was not in a position where I had to buy a dryer for my wife for Christmas. She's like, "Hey, we need a dryer, and please buy it for me." So I'm like, "Oh, yeah, thank you. I've got permission." It didn't show up until this year, so January.
So it didn't show up
2nd.
till after Christmas.
After Christmas. It's officially a Valentine's gift.
So it completely stopped working on Christmas Eve.
On Christmas
And it
Eve.
took till after New Year's.
Well, I bought the new one on New Year's Eve, or not New Year's Eve, Christmas Day, Christmas Eve, or Christmas Day, and they said the soonest it could be delivered was January 2nd.
January 2nd.
So
So you're saying that as a positive, you get to count this as a Valentine's present now.
absolutely, it's
Yeah,
a
there we go.
Valentine's Day present. And my wife is actually down with that because
All right.
she knows that I need laundry.
You could
done.
frame it with
Yeah.
like, how warm is my love?
Yes.
As warm as our new dryer.
Yeah. Or how warm is my love? Warm enough not to be as smelly as much as my
There
old
we
laundry.
go. There we go.
Yeah.
You know what? Our dryer broke, and we just bought another crappy one from Marketplace. That's what we did.
I don't blame you.
We just bought another used one. We have Samsung dryers.
I just bought a Samsung dryer.
I like the Samsung dryers, and they came with our house, and then the Samsung dryer stopped working. It got overheated, and then the heating element broke.
Oh,
Like the
okay.
wiring broke, and we had to get a new heating element, and that worked for another year or so. And then it stopped working again, and we're like, oh, it must have been the heating element again. So we got another heating element, and it didn't work. So it wasn't that. And then we got a new dryer that was terrible, and it had rocks in it. Like we got the dryer. The guy's like, "Oh yeah, this dryer works just fine. It'll be fine." I was like, "All right, it works fine." It was an interim dryer that we wanted a dryer that day, while we looked for another dryer.
Yep.
So we got this interim dryer. It worked, but there were rocks in the outer part, in between the barrel and the housing. Do you know what I mean?
Right,
Or
yeah.
something. It had to have been rocks. I don't know what it was. It was so loud. It was just ba-bang, 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 ba-bang as it was going around and around.
Yeah. That is rough. Our dryer, as I said, it was having problems for a couple years. I'd had people come out to to fix it, repair it a couple times,
Yeah.
and like each time it's like $100.
Yeah, right.
And then like about a year ago, like the belt broke, and I'm like, I can fix it. I fixed it.
Yeah, belts you can fix.
Right, but once I got everything put back together, it would only dry for like 24 minutes. Yeah, most of the cycles are like 40 some minutes
Really?
to an hour. It would only dry.
Why?
I have no idea. I must have hit something or knocked something or jiggled a wire.
That's weird.
And so it stinks, but you know, you're usually doing laundry, you're up doing stuff, so getting up every 24 minutes not a big deal. Just have to,
Have to reset it every 24 minutes.
Yeah, but I'm just glad.
Well, eventually we got another dryer. It was the same, but it was red. So now our dryer and washer do not match. Now they are white and red, but they're still the Samsung, which I like. I still like the Samsung. And then we had 3 dryers just in our garage for a long time until I had the energy to bring them all out to the curb, and we just got rid of them.
Right. I'm glad I paid to have my old dryer taken away.
I know. I wish we had that process to have somebody else take it away.
Right.
Because it's such a pain to get out of the house.
Yeah, but now like my son just got a new bed. Like he had a bunk bed that I'm not real thrilled with because he's basically the size of a man, and it was a little rickety. So we took that down. And we got him a new bed,
Nice.
and I don't know if our garbage guys are going to be able to take this away because they've changed rules for like garbage now.
Yeah.
So I don't
What
know.
are you, Middleburg garbage or Clay County garbage?
Clay County garbage.
Clay County?
Yeah.
Clay County has well.
They've got that.
Did
new,
they change
new
the rule?
company.
Because it used to. Oh, that's right. The rule used to be that you called them and just said, "I have a big item," and then they'll come pick it up.
Right.
But now I don't know.
Now I'm probably just gonna either burn something or just take it to the dump.
You could take it to the dump. Clay has a dump, right?
Yeah, it does.
Yeah.
It's cool. I like it. I just
Green Cove has their own dump, by the way.
do they.
Yeah.
Okay.
There's a Green Cove. Well, none of it's actually a dump. It's a transfer point. So you just bring it there, and then they take it to the dump.
Oh, okay.
But
I call abandoned lots that.
yeah, that's called a transfer point. Wherever they're building a house, that's a transfer point.
Right. Exactly.
Whenever they've got one of those big dumpsters there, that's called a transfer point for trash. Yeah, so we get a certain amount of poundage per week. I think that's free.
Yeah.
So we could take anything we want to over there if we want to. But we put big stuff out there all the time, and it's gone. I don't know who takes it.
Right.
It just disappears at some point.
We put a couch out there one time and it was just gone.
Yeah, we put a couch out there, and it was gone within a couple days.
Yeah, I do like to put stuff out, big things like that.
Yeah.
Used to do it like a couple days before garbage day to give
Yeah.
the trash pickers a chance to
give
come
the
through.
neighborhood a chance to see.
Yeah.
Although your HOA probably doesn't like that.
I don't. I've never really.
They've never had a problem.
Yeah, I've had problems with the HOA, but
not that.
Not for that. It's like it's very obvious.
I will tell you what, HOAs. I don't know how you feel about HOAs, but I feel if you're wondering if fascism is still around and alive and well, look no further than Florida HOA because they are terrible.
Oh, they are.
I
the
hate
absolute
HOAs.
worst.
Well, I'm sure you hate HOAs. As somebody who hates to be overgoverned.
Oh, had I known what.
Oh, it's bad.
What the HOA was
bad.
before I bought this house, my first house, I would have probably not bought a house.
It's so bad. And the thing is like it's not even just that HOAs are strict about things. It's that they're strict about things and then they let other things slide or like they're very corrupt themselves most of the time where it'll be like if somebody on the HOA board could do something that like my brother-in-law, he had a tree die on his property and they're like you can't take that tree out. You have to get approval, and you have to get an arborist. You have to pay an arborist to sign a paper saying that the tree needs to be taken out, and before you can take it out, even though it's a dead tree, you can see it's a dead tree. And he went to the HOA meeting. He should have just done it and not asked permission. They probably wouldn't have noticed because it's a big neighborhood he lives in. But because he wanted to do it the right way, he went to the HOA meeting and was like, I need to pull out this tree. How do I get approval? And like, you have to pay an arborist. I was like, all right, well, whose relative on the HOA is an arborist? Because that's why. Like, why else would you need an arborist to tell you a tree is dead?
I don't even think I've heard of anybody choosing the profession of arborist.
Yeah, it's crazy. And then he's like, and then my brother-in-law's like, hey, you can just come look at the tree. You can tell it's dead. And she's like, oh, no, I'm not an arborist. I don't know if it's actually dead. And it's like, it was obviously dead. And it's, by the way, if he'd have left the dead tree there, he probably would have gotten in trouble with the HOA for having a dead tree in his property.
Bureaucracy is there to punish people who care about doing the right thing.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. That's not why we're here, though.
No, it is not.
That is not why we're here. Well, before we go into our topic, did you have a good New Year's? What'd you do for New Year's?
Oh, our New Year's was incredible. So my son Blake had some friends over. They played Twister, which is a terrible game for somebody as inflexible as me.
Oh yeah, Twister sounds terrible.
They played a couple other board games. They did the game Speak Out where you have the little dental things in your mouth and it holds your lips apart and you can't talk real well and you have to say things and have other people guess it.
I've never played that one.
That is a fun game. It's kind of gross because you drool a bit, but it's perfect for kids in that range.
Okay.
Yeah, it's fun because it's very silly. Video games, some Welch's sparkling grape juice, which was fantastic, and and pizza. Yes, average.
All right.
And some s'mores out back. I forgot about that, s'mores.
We did fireworks at the one grandparents, and then we went to the other grandparents and watched Wicked. Right?
Yeah.
Yeah. He enjoyed it. I played Tetris the entire night, so. And now my oldest, is obsessed with beating my Tetris score, and he can't do it. He tried to beat my Tetris. Speaking, okay, well, let's move on to our topic today. Our topic, did you have something, or are we just keeping this slide up here the whole time?
I've got some. Hey, Daniel,
okay.
Go hit the space bar on that computer, please. And this, I don't even have the remote control. There we are. It's today.
Humiliation Day. Today is Humiliation Day,
which is pretty much every day for me. But it's a good way to start the year. Just looking back at all the ways that has been really weird.
Yeah, that's not a bad way to look at the year. Just let's celebrate Humiliation Day and think about all the terrible things that have happened. Humiliation Day is, I thought would be a good one. It'd be easy to come up with humiliating stories about ourselves to talk about, and some humiliating stories throughout history. Recently, I humiliated my oldest son because I got a high score on Tetris, and he tried to get the high score and maybe lost within 5 minutes. Do you remember that, Daniel?
Oh, yeah. His score was 93.
Yeah, he got 93 and then failed.
I used to play Tetris a lot. It's been a long time since I have played. I'm going to say I don't remember 93 being a very high score.
No. I had, I think, 54,000.
Yeah, 55,000.
55,000, that's what I had.
Yeah, the thousands seem more appropriate score-wise. 93, although a good grade on a test, not good for Tetris.
Not good for Tetris.
It's
That
pretty
is not a good score. That is not a good score for Tetris. I prefer the Game Boy Tetris, actually.
Game Boy Tetris was one of the coolest things ever experienced in my life.
I played. We have a Switch, so we have all the Game Boy games and all the regular Nintendo games and all of the Super Nintendo. They're all on the Switch.
Right.
You can sign up for the Nintendo Game Pass or something, and then you've got all these games. So I played the Nintendo version, which, by the way, the Nintendo version has a different song.
Does it?
Than the Game Boy version. You can choose between a couple songs, but what do you remember the Tetris song being?
I couldn't. I'm so not musically inclined.
Because to me, it's always that Russian song. The
okay.
Now I just forgot it. What is it?
Dun
dun dun dun dun dun dun dun dun dun dun dun dun dun dun dun dun. Dun 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 dun. That's what I always remember the Tetris song being.
Yeah.
But if you play it on the Nintendo, it's the Nutcracker. Dun 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 dun. That's the Tetris song for some reason on the Nintendo.
I had no clue whatsoever about that. That's
Well,
kind
I
of cool.
was humiliated to find out that it is that it was not the. We're just gonna keep saying that. We're gonna have nothing to do with humiliation. We're just gonna say humiliated a lot. But So when I started playing that, I prefer the Russian song. Also on the Nintendo, the area, the gameplay area where you see the Tetris blocks is smaller.
Right.
And because I don't know, it just is. But if you play on the Game Boy, it's optimized for you to see more of the board, or it's a bigger area to look at. I don't know, it covers more of the screen. The board covers more of the screen.
Right.
So I prefer the Game Boy version of Tetris.
I prefer the Game Boy version because the kid who lived in the back of the neighborhood by me, Danny Wilson, had a Game Boy.
Shout out Danny Wilson.
Shout out to Danny Wilson.
I'm sure you're listening.
I don't even know if Danny's still alive. Hope he is.
He could be dead or in prison. Remember that was our.
Sadly, yeah. But
that was what we say about everybody we don't know where they are.
But Danny had a Game Boy with Tetris, and we would go and somebody would be playing Tetris while the rest of us would be playing tag or something, and then we'd switch out.
You'd rotate.
It was just a cool thing to have. It was so
I love
awesome.
Tetris. Tetris is very therapeutic.
Yes.
Tetris, it's like meditating. Like if I want to clear my mind, I'll play a couple hours of Tetris. And then I'm just, if I'm upset or mad, just play a couple hours of Tetris. It's so satisfying to watch those little blocks get into their places and disappear. It's great. It's a perfect game.
I hate to like reference other podcasts about things like that, but I was listening to I think it was Rogan and Elon talking, and Elon was like, "Hey, I play video games to de-stress and see where I'm at, like mentally. Like, hey, am I thinking clearly right now? Because he's like, he can play a game for like 5 minutes, and be like, okay, I know
my head's
I'm thinking
together
optimally,
today,
or like, hey, I need to take a break.
I don't really like Elon Musk, but I agree with that.
Yeah,
I agree with that. I could definitely see that. I've done that before, where it's like, let me just do something that I don't have to think about my life for a second. Like I can just, and it's not even escapism. It really is like, it is a good barometer to see where my head's at to play a video game. And I can tell if my brain's not working right that day or whatever.
Absolutely, yeah. It's a really good thing, because I also heard that like one of the statistics they were throwing out is like surgeons that play video games are like 30%, like they're considered like 30% better, or like they have 30% fewer mistakes or things like that.
I could see that.
Yeah,
I mean, that's a good hand-eye coordination to develop with a video game. And it's so funny because like there have always been people that have been like against video games for a long time, or like video games rot your brain, or they make you more violent. And it's like the more studies they do about video games, the more they realize that video games are good for you. Now, should you be addicted to video games? No. You shouldn't be addicted to anything. Should you Should you sacrifice other things to play the video games, other good things? No. Like, should you sacrifice having a job to play a video game? Not unless it's a really good video game.
Right.
So that's like it's just like anything. It's like you can make anything bad. Like you can turn it into something that's bad. But I think in general, video games, the existence of video games is good, and I think it's good for mental health. I think it's good for hand-eye coordination, for problem solving.
Yes.
It's huge for problem solving.
It's great.
It's all the games we play have puzzles and problem-solving stuff. Daniel and I play video games together all the time.
Yeah.
What's your favorite video game that we play together?
Jedi Survivor.
Jedi Survivor's great. Tons of puzzles, tons of problem-solving in that game, tons of exploring. There's a lot that your brain can benefit. I feel from video games, and not just I feel. There have been studies. There have been medical journals talking about how they can be good. But again, obviously, if you're playing too many video games, that could be bad.
Right.
But
Yeah.
as with anything, too much of anything is bad. Too much exercise is bad.
Absolutely.
There's not sushi though. There's no too much sushi.
No, having too much sushi just means that you're having enough sushi.
Yes, exactly.
And that's the way I see it. Lots of things like pop up though when we talk about humiliation.
So my idea was I was thinking we could each talk about a humiliating thing that happened to us.
Okay.
But I also had the idea of talking about humiliating things in history, humiliating stories throughout history. Did you think of any historical ones? Did I say that in the text? I can't remember if I said that to you ahead of time.
I forget, but I've got some ideas already.
Okay. Well, do you want to present something first,
Oh,
or do you want me to present first?
present something for I will talk about the most humiliating experience of my life.
Oh, that sounds great. That's
well,
juicy.
Yeah, I don't even know if it's the most humiliating, but it is one that really sticks with me, and I don't remember her name, which is
Okay.
even better.
All right.
So this was my sophomore year in high school, and I had finally gotten the courage to ask a girl on a date. And I asked.
Had you ever been on a date before at all?
I'd kind of been on like some group dates things. You know, I'd kind of had like a middle school girlfriend, which meant that we went to like church youth group together, and we held hands in a car once.
Okay.
Which is
That's your
perfect.
extent of
That-
female interaction,
right
in a romantic.
Exactly, and so I'd had the courage to ask this girl out. You know, we'd talked on the phone for a little bit, and then like the day of, she told me, hey, my parents are upset. I've been grounded. I'm not able to go out. And like that stinks. You know, I already was going to do stuff that night. So I'm like, hey, reached out to my buddies. We went to see a movie. I'm like, hey, nothing else to do. Didn't have anything else going. And right when the movie's ending, we're standing up, and that girl and some other people were in the theater.
I knew that's where you're going with this story.
Yeah.
I knew that was going to be the story.
So then my friends were like, hey, isn't that so? I think her name's Amber, but I'm not sure. And they're like, hey, isn't that her? And I'm like, yeah. And she is here with this guy that is also on the football team, who's a year older than me. And this guy, his name is Jason Rohr. He's a super nice guy, great guy.
Probably in prison or dead.
Probably in prison or dead. But like I don't have any animosity towards him. I didn't then. I don't think he knew that we had plans, and it's more. She made the decision she didn't want to go out with me, and
She got a better offer. That's what happened.
She got a better offer. And she came up and said something about being sorry. She wasn't allowed to go on dates, but she was allowed to go out with a group of people, which could have been true, but I don't think my face has ever been that bright red. I don't think I've ever been at a complete loss of words. Like, I wanted to be angry and say very mean things, but I also was in public and couldn't, and it was a bad decision, and I just felt miserable for that entire weekend. Yeah, that was extremely.
That sounds about right. Yeah. I've definitely had many of those experiences like that. I didn't date a bunch of girls in high school or anything like that. But yeah, she found a better offer. She went to the movies with the better offer.
Yeah.
Well, that was humiliating.
Yeah. Well, I would like to say to make me feel better now. I do not believe Jason Rohr has a podcast with literally handful of subscribers.
Yeah. Now who's humiliated Jason Rohr?
Yeah.
I know you watch the show.
Wrong choice, Amber. If that was your name.
Yeah, Amber, possibly. Wrong choice. Could have been with this guy.
Yeah. Hey, you lost out on all this.
Who has a podcast that 11-year-olds listen to.
Exactly.
A little bit of podcast housekeeping.
Okay.
No, I forgot it. I was going to say we never talk about our comments on the YouTube page. I don't go to the YouTube page very much. And we've had a few comments. You got to stop moving that mic around, bud. I took the thing off so it would make less noise, but that didn't seem to help. And now I forgot. I was going to mention our YouTube comments, and I forgot what they were. So never mind.
Literally several people.
We've had mostly Spike Yoder and Emery. Those are the two people.
Yeah.
So we'll shout them out. Emery, thanks for commenting. Spike Yoder, thanks for commenting. We know you're watching. You're the only one who watches every week. I do have some things from history to talk about, embarrassing things from history, humiliating things. Do you know the famous story about Taft getting stuck in a bathtub?
I have heard the famous rumor about Taft getting stuck in a
President
bathtub.
Taft, the famous rumor was that President Taft was so fat that he got stuck in the White House bathtub, and then 6 people had to get him out of the bathtub. I found out today that story is not true. Did you know that?
I've heard that it was a disputed story. I do like a lot of presidential history. Like I'm not like super into it, but those big stories I have
Now,
heard.
it is true Taft was a large fella.
Yes.
He was over 300 pounds. He was a big dude, which sometimes when you hear somebody's fat and you're like, well, were they fat or were they back then fat? You know what I mean?
Right,
it's
right.
like I feel like we've broken some records since then, but no, he was today fat even. Like he
Ooh.
was fat for today, and he was over 300 pounds, and he did like bathtubs. He had a special bathtub installed in the White House, and he had a special bathtub installed. He had to take a boat. He had to take a Navy ship to the Panama Canal one time,
Right.
and he had a special bathtub installed on that Navy ship. And he had a special bathtub installed in the Taft Hotel after his presidency.
Okay, the Taft Hotel one I get, but the ship, just deal
Yeah,
with
I
it.
know. It's like, yeah, what do you need to take a bath on that? Like, just take showers until you get home. Yeah, but he got a special bathtub, and but so he never actually got stuck in the bathtub. That was never a thing that he didn't have to have 6 people. The only the only reference to an eyewitness account, because that's what this article I was reading is. They're basing it on eyewitness accounts.
Right.
There were no eyewitness accounts saying 6 people had to get him out of the bathtub, or that he was stuck, or all that. It took him something like he was stuck in the bathtub for 5 hours or something like that until somebody found him. All of that, none of that was true according to any eyewitness accounts. Nobody ever said that. The only reference to him being close to that was that the butler said that sometimes he needed help getting out of the bathtub. That was it.
Okay.
So the butler said that every now and then he'd call the butler to come help him get out of the bathtub, which I'm assuming if he's 300 pounds and he's laying in a bathtub, probably hard to get out of a bathtub, even if you're not stuck in the bathtub.
Yeah. I feel humiliation for the butler. That sucks.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. I was thinking, that was still humiliating for the butler, but not 6 people. There's not 6 people trying to pull the president out of a bathtub, right?
Right.
So that's the truth, or at least what I could find of the truth for the Taft getting stuck in a bathtub story.
I hate to ask this question, but I feel like I need to. Would 6 butlers, would that be like a battalion of butlers?
I don't know what the term is for multiple butlers together. It may be a battalion of butlers or a quorum of butlers.
Ooh, a quorum.
A quorum of butlers. It's got to be a very hoity-toity sounding thing. A butler sounds like a very high class name for something, right? Butler.
Right.
I don't know. Actually, butler is kind of a weird name.
They buttle.
They buttle. Buttle is a word, and then you're
Yes.
a butler. It's like butt's right in there, huh?
Yeah.
Like you're just gonna have butt in your job title?
Yeah.
How many job titles have the word butt in them?
Even proctologists.
Even proctologists, they're not calling themselves butt doctors.
And actually, proctology is something that doesn't truly exist anymore. Like,
Oh, really?
They don't teach that. They're all colorectal surgeons, like the term
Oh.
proctologist, like.
Well, they probably focus mostly on like cancer and stuff like that.
Right.
Colon cancer.
Yeah. So like the name proctologist, like there are still some people, but they're being phased out. It's all colorectal surgeons.
Did you have to have a colorectal surgeon consult on your weight loss surgery, on your bariatric surgery?
No. I actually, this is a somewhat humiliating experience. So I'm love to talk about it. My early days of stand-up comedy, I was asked to help put together a colonoscopy screening workshop for a hospital. So we had to go encourage people to get colonoscopies during a presentation we did during their lunch break where they brown bagged it.
Okay.
And so we
Wait, so this was something you were doing as a stand-up comic?
as a stand-up
Okay.
comic in correlation with what hospital was it in the area? St. Luke's.
Mm.
Because the nuns were like, you cannot make any jokes about.
You're like, well, then why are we even here?
I'm like,
like
oh.
this, I agreed to do this job so that I can make fun of butts.
Yeah.
So now what are we supposed to do?
Like so you're telling me you want me to encourage people for their safety and health to have a doctor look in their butt, but you don't want me to make jokes about the doctor looking in their butt.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's not good.
Okay.
Yeah, or that was like, yeah, I don't know if I would have walked out right then. This is the only reason I'm here, is to make fun of this job.
But I did get to hang out with a colorectal surgeon for like half an hour and learn stuff.
What's your most embarrassing thing or humiliating thing that's ever happened to you in comedy? Well, I guess I don't know if that story you just told is that humiliating necessarily, but like, what do you have a humiliating, or not just that? Okay, what's not even a story? What's a humiliating thing that happens in comedy that you? For me, it's watching my own videos.
Oh, I can't
I
stand
hate watching myself do stand up. I hate it. I've had to, for job reasons. I've gotten used to listening to my own voice, which
Right.
I hate. I still hate it, but I've come to terms with listening to my own voice. But it is one of the most embarrassing and humiliating things to watch yourself do stand-up comedy. I don't know if you feel the same way.
Absolutely. And probably one of the most humiliating things, and really, I'm glad it happened, was this last year. I had the opportunity to go to Vegas and do a showcase, and so I was there, did a showcase, and then some people from like some talent agencies, America's Got Talent, were there meeting with the comedians the next day. They watched the shows. They watched the showcase. I physically saw them do the showcase. I crushed the showcase.
Oh, okay.
I was great. And I say it was a great set. It was a 4-minute set. So it was a good 4-minute set.
So far, not humiliating.
So far, not humiliating. Meeting these people next day, like, hey, I sit down. I'm like, hey, can you tell me? I sit down. I'm like, yeah, I want to talk about this, as a business. And I walked in thinking, hey, you know who I am. You just watched me crush it. And the lady's like, who are you? I said, I'm Bobby. Here's my stuff. Here's the information. She's like, I don't know anything about you. You're like, okay. I walked into this thinking you're going to talk to me like, hey, here's how I
you
can
get
help
it.
your
You're like, I
business.
just had a killer set,
Right.
and then you get it in your head like, okay, people are going to want to talk to me after this,
And it was-
everyone's like, I don't know who you are.
Yeah.
Who do you think you are?
Who are you? Why do you think I should
Yeah.
waste my
Yeah.
time talking? I'm like, oh,
That is humiliating, to crush a set and then realize that nobody cared
Yeah.
later on.
yeah. I learned a lot. I learned I belong on stage, and I also learned that I've got to do a lot more business for the show business thing to take off.
Right. Daniel, do you have a humiliating story to tell us?
Yes.
Go ahead.
So this one time,
Hold on. Your mic's coming undone. Here, hold on. Okay, try it now.
So this one time, I was playing Super Smash Bros. On my 3DS because I got that at GameStop one time. And so I don't know what this thing's called, but I just went to Games and More and pressed Classic Solo. And so I beat up a bunch of people, and then I got to this boss, and there were just these big old hand guys. And normally, I beat them with no problems. I'm always Kirby because that's my best character.
Right.
And then, so I just smash him with my hammer. But this time, I just lost. And I was on intensity 4.5, which is normally easy. And I lost.
So you got smacked around and you were Kirby?
Yeah.
So you were smacked around as your best player, as on an easy setting.
Yes.
Ooh, yeah, that's rough. Who saw this?
Me.
Was there anybody else witness to this?
No.
Ooh.
That's humiliating. That's ridiculous. I can't believe how humiliating you were in that moment.
Yeah.
You could have not told anybody, and nobody would know you were humiliated.
Well, you told me to think of a story.
Now I'm humiliated. How humiliating that you called me out on the podcast about humiliation. Well, that was a good story, but this kid likes video games.
Yeah.
Most kids do.
I have another historical story to tell you about. One that is true and was on television.
Okay.
So, do you guys know George H.W. Bush?
George?
Personally? No. Do you know? You know George H.W. Bush, the first Bush to be president of the United States.
Yes.
In 1992, so actually on Wednesday, January 8th, it will be 33 years since this incident, exactly.
Wow. Okay.
It happened on January 8th, 1992. President Bush. And so I'll read the introduction. You can find there's a Wikipedia entry just about this incident.
Oh, nice.
By the way, it says while attending a banquet hosted by Japanese Prime Minister, now I don't know how to pronounce this, Kichi, I'm gonna say, Miyazawa. How embarrassing and humiliating that I can't pronounce this name. Kichi Miyazawa, I'm gonna say.
That sounds fair.
Sorry, Kichi, if you're listening. I'm sure you're a fan of the show.
Or he's in prison or dead.
Or you're in prison or dead. Kichi Miyazawa, I'm going to say. Okay, while attending a banquet hosted by Japanese Prime Minister Kichi Miyazawa on January 8th, 1992, American President George H.W. Bush fainted after vomiting onto Miyazawa's trousers at around 2020 to... Wait, what's that in regular time? 8:20, around 8:20 Japanese Standard Time. Doctors later attributed the incident to a case of acute gastroenteritis. Maybe he needed a colorectal surgeon after that.
He most likely did. That is throwing up on the trousers. I love the phrasing. He threw up on the trousers.
Threw up on the trousers of the Japanese Prime Minister
Yeah.
and then fainted.
Yes.
He threw up and fainted.
I would like to assume that Vice President Quayle took over, but he did not.
Yeah.
No, I did not have to invoke the 25th, I believe it is, or 22nd.
So the incident became national news, or international news. It became world news pretty quickly. And shortly after the incident, an Idaho man named James Edward Smith called CNN and posed as the president's physician, claiming Bush had died. A CNN employee entered the information into a centralized computer used by both CNN and its sister network, CNN Headline News, and Headline News nearly aired it before it could be verified. Smith was subsequently questioned by the Secret Service and hospitalized at a private mental health facility for evaluation. So a crazy man called CNN and said, "I am the doctor's physician." He died. Not only did he throw up and faint, he died, and they almost aired that on CNN.
That's fantastic.
In Japan, Bush was remembered for this event for several years. According to the Encyclopedia of Political Communication, the incident caused a wave of late-night television jokes and ridicule in the international community, even coining Bushu Suru, which means to do the Bush thing. So, like,
Bushu Suru.
Bushu Suru means, like, you threw up on somebody. Like,
To do
you did
the
something.
Bush thing.
I think it was used as a synonym for embarrassment. Like, oh, a Bushu Suru. Like, you. Isn't that crazy?
That is
President George
fantastic.
H.W. Bush did something so humiliating that it became a shorthand for humiliation in the country of Japan. An entire country was saying that people were bushushuru if they did something humiliating like throwing up on international television. The whole thing was recorded and
Right.
so we had the news has all that. Like, there's a photo of him
So I
throwing up on the prime minister right there. That's
I,
a photo.
I remember this because it happened approximately when I was in high school. Actually, definitely when I was in high school, approximately the same time as my humiliating story.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah, so approximately same age, but I absolutely remember that, and I still love throwing up on the trousers of. That's just great.
Throwing up on the
news
trousers.
phrasing.
According to the 2007 listicle published by USA Today, the incident was one of the top 25 memorable public meltdowns that had us talking and laughing or cringing over the past quarter century. So, USA Today said it was one of the top 25 most memorable meltdowns. I don't know if you call that a meltdown. That's just being sick.
Yeah,
I don't know if that's a meltdown.
like that. If anything, that's a failure of like the support staff there.
Yeah. Right.
Like, hey, President, you're not looking good. Would you like something to help your tummy or somebody should notice that. I don't think the president needs handlers, but it's good to have people notice stuff.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, somebody probably should have noticed he was sick. Now, I could see him not admitting to being sick, kind of thing. Like, I could see a president, trying to tough it out. So let's recap this. Bush shows up to a dinner hosted in his honor by the Japanese prime minister. He throws up on the Japanese prime minister's pants, faints. A crazy person from Idaho calls CNN and says, "I am Bush's doctor. He has died." And they believe him and almost run a news story about Bush dying in Japan. And then that man was later detained and sent to a mental health facility. And then Japan, for years after, used Bush's name as a synonym for humiliation. So,
Bushu Suru.
Bushu Suru. So next time somebody does something embarrassing, you can say that they did a Bushu Suru. Well, Bushu Suru means like did a bush. So it's like you could say like, in fact, you could just, if somebody like trips and falls, you can just yell at them Bushu Suru. I think that's how that works.
I think that's what I'm going to do next time somebody is ill. I'm just going to look at them and just start screaming, Bushu Suru! Bushu Suru!
Next time Daniel loses a match to somebody he shouldn't lose to, I'm going to say, Daniel, Bushu Suru. Does that make sense?
No.
Okay. All right. This is going to be a little bit of a short one, but I have a show to get to. That I believe is I think that was a great story to end the humiliation talk on.
Absolutely.
Our former president George H.W. Bush throwing up. Tonight, if you're listening to this, the day it airs on Humiliation Day, tonight is the first fresh spot for the new year for 2025. Come to Middleburg, Fresh Spot Lounge at 8 o'clock. Sign up, 8:30 show. 8:30 we have our monthly open mic there. Fresh Material Fridays. That's what's going on with. That's a show that's going on with me. You got any shows coming up?
I will be there because I've got a lot of humiliating experiences to talk about, and that's what I do on stage.
All right, Bobby will be there. He'll be talking about how stupid he is. Daniel, Daniel, you got any shows coming up?
No.
Oh, it's not on. There, now try it.
No.
That was embarrassing.
You should be humiliated.
Bushushuru.
Bushushuru.
Also, what else do I have? January 15th, I will be at the Comedy Zone. January 15th. Do you know your dates yet for the Comedy Zone?
Yeah, I've got some coming
You've
up.
got some coming up.
Yeah.
They have the Comedy Zone's a little bit different now. They're called Best of Jack shows on Wednesdays. They're going to be every week. Every Wednesday, there will be a Best of Jacksonville show at the Comedy Zone. So come out and support every Wednesday. I think the show starts at 7:15. See, that's a weird time, but
Yeah,
we'll see how that goes.
It's a weird time. It will be on our social medias.
Yes.
And the one thing I just want to say this: I've been very humiliated about how bad I am at social media,
know.
and I am starting to get better. I am going to try to post something at least daily, comedy wise.
Follow this idiot on social media. Follow this idiot on social media.
Don't follow this idiot on social media.
He's not on social
Yeah,
media.
that's why you should not follow him.
Don't follow him on. Don't follow him anywhere.
Yeah.
Don't honestly.
Yeah, that's creepy.
weird. Don't
Yeah.
follow an 11-year-old.
Yeah, we will humiliate.
Yeah,
Bushushuru!
Bushushuru. Write us. Today is podcast at gmail.com.
Yeah, do
Today is podcast on all the social media platforms.
Yeah, do it electronically. Don't write us mail.
Yeah, don't send us mail. Well, I don't know how you would send us mail.
They'll figure it out.
Yeah.
People are weird.
And then Bobby's Bobby Parker Comedy.
Bobby Parker Comedy. Yep.
I am Joey 5 Cent on Instagram. Everywhere else, I'm Joey Nickel .05. Got it? All right. Daniel, you want to take us out? I don't know.
Bushuzuru! Bushuzuru!
Bushushuru. See you tomorrow. Say Bushushuru.
What?
Say Bushushuru.
Bushu shuru.
That's right.